For all your t-shirt needs, check out TeePublic's Killer Selection. Follow the link in the description. Hey, what's up, people? Pizzao here, and continuing my series, Halloween with Hooper, a month-long celebration of Tobe Hooper's filmography. Today, I want to talk to you guys about 1995's The Mangler. Now, I somewhat remember when The Mangler was coming out theatrically. I was a subscriber of Entertainment Weekly, and I remember reading a little tidbit about The Mangler. Now, at this point, I'd seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It had an enormous impact on me. I don't really recall how many other Tobe Hooper movies I'd seen at that time, although I'm sure I'd seen at least a few. So the name Tobe Hooper was definitely, on my radar. It was a big name for me when it comes to horror movies. So reading this little tidbit in Entertainment Weekly about Tobe Hooper, about New Line Cinema, about Robert Englund, about Stephen King, all of them coming together to make this movie about an evil industrial laundry press. I thought that was a bit odd. I remember seeing a few trailers. The movie came, the movie went, and for the longest time, just saying The Mangler, putting those two words together, just made you kind of uncomfortable. It made people cringe. The movie was absolutely destroyed critically, commercially, and among horror fans, it was looked upon as this, is almost like an unconscionably bad movie. The kind of movie, again, you just say its name and it brings forth just, you just feel almost dirty. Now, when I finally saw The Mangler on late night cable television, I actually liked it. I can vividly remember watching it on late night cable television over at my grandmother's house. I think it was one of those things we had the cable box and I could adjust it just enough to be able to see, the pay cable channels, HBO, Cinemax, etc., well enough to watch the movies. And I watched The Mangler and I liked it. And I've always had a soft spot for The Mangler. So whenever I hear about the movie, and it has such an overwhelming reputation and an overwhelmingly bad reputation among horror fans, I always have said, it's not bad. It's fun. It's a Tobe Hooper movie that looks and feels like a Tobe Hooper movie. Now, revisiting The Mangler for the first time in probably, 2 or 3 years, probably longer, just yesterday, as a matter of fact, I loved each and every minute of this movie. This was a really, really fun, super entertaining, off the charts, crazy movie, but an undeniably Tobe Hooper film. The movie focuses on a detective played by Ted Levine who is investigating a mysterious death at this industrial laundry press in which a woman was sucked into a mangle and was horribly mangled. They had to carry her out, what was left of her, in buckets, or a bucket. And while he is there, he is introduced to the laundry press's owner, played by Robert Englund. And oh, that Robert Englund performance. I'll get there very, very shortly. But the detective, played by Ted Levine, and his parapsychologist friend, they soon discover that there is more afoot here at this laundry press than meets the eye, and that the actual laundry press itself is possessed. And now that sounds like a thoroughly ridiculous premise for a movie. A killer Laundry press. Who in their right mind would have greenlit a movie about a killer industrial laundry press? How do you make a movie about a killer industrial laundry press entertaining or good or worth watching? And the answer is you hire Tobe Hooper to co-write and direct it. You cast Ted Levine and Robert Englund, and you make a completely and utterly batshit crazy movie. First and foremost, Robert Englund in this film, oh my God. His performance as the evil owner of the laundry press, it's a high point in his career. It is so over the top. It is so crazed. He chews up the scenery in every sequence he is in. And every second that he's on the screen in this movie, I just have a grin on my face. The dialogue, the fact that he's practically more machine than human. He has these metal leg braces on. He's got this throat contraption, like a voice box, larynx kind of thing. But all it really does is kind of gurgle and make really disgusting noises. And he has to adjust it. And it's nasty. The way he moves in the movie, he's all just so stilted and almost like prehistoric. His performance in this film is absolutely just spellbinding. He is over the top in a glorious, glorious way. I love Robert Englund's performance in The Mangler. Ted Levine, who you never really see as anything other than the bad guy in movies, gives an excellent performance here as the detective. He plays this very burnt out, kind of down on his luck detective, but he plays it with so much kind of humor and a lot of really black humor that it kind of, you're sitting there and he's so down and out and he's smoking a cigarette and he's got his old like wrinkly clothes on and his hair's down in his face, but he always just has like a funny one-liner to throw out there. The relationship between him and his parapsychologist friend who's going around and asking all the victims of the Mangler, the surviving victims of the Mangler, are you a virgin? Was it virgin blood? Did the Mangler get virgin blood in it? Are you a virgin? The character of the crime scene photographer, I love that character as well. And when that character meets his demise in the movie, I vividly remember watching the film for the first time, and his character is dying. He's being rolled out on a stretcher, and he's talking to Ted Levine, and at one point, he bolts straight up and spits like a mouthful of blood, like right on the camera, and it rolls down the lens, and it's that typical Tobe Hooper, low angle shot. Watching that as a kid, it blew me away. I'd never seen anything like that in a movie before. And I remember thinking, this is kind of at the time thinking, this is kind of a low rent, kind of movie. But wow, that was a really skillful and inventive and imaginative kind of way to shoot that. That's very Tobe Hooper. And there's so much, I think that sequence shows what a skillful technician Tobe Hooper was as far as how he framed his sequences, how he framed, each shot. And that's something that I think is overlooked a lot when people talk about Tobe Hooper. And that's one of the things I like the most about watching a Tobe Hooper movie is the way the movie looks, the way the movie moves, the way the camera moves, the energy, that frenetic, crazed energy that a lot of Tobe Hooper movies have. And The Mangler has that in absolute spades. The movie looks fantastic. The production design on this movie was really well done. Of course, you've got a lot of the signature Hooper shots. The camera's constantly moving. And that energy, that just crazed, frenetic energy is flowing through this movie. The atmosphere in The Mangler 2 is so grim and so dark. Like when you're inside the industrial laundry press, it's almost like you can feel the heat. You can smell the sweat. You can feel the steam on the back of your neck, and it just makes you want to take a shower. It just has such a dirty, grimy, gritty, nasty feel about it. It's palpable. It's a tangible kind of feel. That's what kind of atmosphere is in this movie. And Tobe Hooper and the cinematographer and the production design do an excellent job of creating that atmosphere. And as grim and as bleak and as bloody and gory as this movie is, and this movie is super bloody and super gory, when you see the results of what the Mangler does to a human body, again, you have to be carried out in a bucket. The ending in which Robert Englund's character finally meets his demise, and he is folded up like a piece of laundry, starting from his feet on up. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. That sequence. It's funny. It's gruesome. But I think that's the Mangler in a sense. It's gruesome, but there's this sense of humor about the movie too. It's gruesome, but it's humorously gruesome. I really don't know what more to say. I love The Mangler. I love every second of The Mangler. This is a thoroughly fun, entertaining, energetic, wild ride. And I really think that in a few years' time, the newfound appreciation for Tobe Hooper movies like Life Force, Chainsaw 2, etc., The Mangler will soon be rediscovered as well. This is a movie that just, again, has such an energy to it, has such a high entertainment value to it. And again, it's just completely and utterly crazy. I'm kind of shocked that the movie doesn't already have more of kind of a cult following. But I do think in the years to come, the way that Life Force has been rediscovered, for instance, The Mangler will be rediscovered. At least I hope. I think it deserves to be rediscovered. And I think it was Tobe Hooper's last great movie. It was the last movie that looked and felt like a Tobe Hooper movie. And it really seemed like a bounce back for Hooper, because if you look beyond the 3-picture deal he had with Cannon, that was not a successful run, at least at the time. He started doing a lot of television. And then he did the movie Spontaneous Combustion, which was a huge flop. And I don't think all of that, I don't think as bad as Spontaneous Combustion is, all of the fault should be given to Tobe Hooper for Spontaneous Combustion. But he had done a lot of television, a lot of stuff that just didn't really reach a lot of people. He'd kind of fallen off. This was his return. This was a movie that looked and felt like a Tobe Hooper movie. And again, enormous disappointment at the box office. Critics absolutely hated it. Horror movie fans absolutely hated it. And from there, the Hooper oeuvre, for lack of a better word, just kind of kept going downhill, which is unfortunate, because I think The Mangler is, again, a thoroughly entertaining, really, really fun, and just wild ride. If you haven't seen The Mangler, by all means, go out and check out The Mangler. Forget its reputation. I think the reputation is so unwarranted for this movie. As bad as The Mangler's reputation is, it's almost like they're talking about a different movie. It's like they're talking about one of the Mangler sequels instead of The Mangler itself. This is a really fun, super entertaining, wild ride. Go out, check it out. Even if you saw it years ago and you didn't dig it, go back to it and give it a second look. I definitely think it's worth it. I love every second of it. If you've seen The Mangler, please let me know what you think about it down in the comments section below. I will return soon with the closing installment of my series, Halloween with Hooper, a month-long celebration of Tobe Hooper's filmography in which I discuss Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Keep your eyes peeled for that. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. Join the A Buck a Month Club and help support my channel on Patreon. Thank you to current patrons Terry Delamore and Orc145626. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.